I Have a Bad Feeling About This by Jeff Strand. Chapter 15. In his dream, Henry held up the glowing crystal medallion of amazing ultimate victory. Or was it a dream? Maybe he really had won the glowing crystal medallion of amazing ultimate victory. A stadium filled with tens of thousands of fans was cheering his victory in the survival camp games, and fireworks were going off everywhere, including in the stands where the fans were sitting, setting many of them on fire. So yeah, this was probably a dream. He had read about lucid dreaming, where you were aware that you were asleep and could thus control the dream, but he'd never experienced it. He wondered if he could fly. Hey, cool, he had wings now. He flew into the air, not too high, and the crowd cheered louder, even the people who were on fire. Henry flexed his muscles and then flew around the stadium. Oh no, he'd forgotten to study for his math test. Oh no, he'd had to give a big speech and he wasn't prepared. Oh no, he was in his... Actually, he was proud to be in his underwear. Look at his muscular body. He would never wear clothing again. He saw Monica in the stands using his dream-enhanced Ultra Megavision and flew over to her. He extended his arms. Fly with me. Kiss me, she said. It was dangerous to fly and kiss at the same time. Many people in other dreams had lost their lives after they had smashed into billboards or mountains, but Henry didn't care. He leaned his face towards hers. She leaned her face towards his. Millimeters separated their lips, and then Henry woke up. Monica was not kissing him. He sighed with disappointment. Then a horde of vampire zombies burst through the wall. Henry woke up again. Monica was not kissing him this time either. He sighed with disappointment. I can't sleep either, said Randy, rolling over on his cot to face him. I understand that we're not playing for our lives or to earn food for our district or anything, but I would love for one of us to win this thing. I agree, said Henry. Let's go get some bragging rights. Gentlemen, welcome to the Strongwood Survival Camp Survival Games. Max was still wearing a camouflage shirt. However, this one was long-sleeved, and he wore a camouflage tie. This event will show you what you are made of. Your strength, endurance, intelligence, and courage will be challenged like never before. The 5 boys stood side by side outside the barracks, arms at their sides, looking ahead, mentally preparing themselves for the ultimate challenge. There can only be one victor. You may form alliances, but do so knowing that they will eventually crumble. You have no true friends. The winner of these games will receive the title of Strongwood Survival Camp Survival Games winner, and also this medal. Max held up a gold medal. Is that real gold? Asked Jackie. Max frowned at him. Do you think it's real gold? I don't know. I guess probably not. What I really meant is that gold-plated, with a really thin layer that wasn't all gold. But I was asking if there's any gold in that. No, Max said. There's no actual gold in this metal. You'll not be able to sell it on eBay, but if you think about Strongwood Survival Games winner doesn't look good on a resume, then you haven't yet entered the brutal job market. I have a paper route. Stop talking, Jackie. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Forever. Yes, sir. There are very few rules, Max said. The boundaries are clearly marked in orange. If you see an orange flag, orange paint, or orange tape on the tree, do not go past it or you will be disqualified. They noticed these boundaries about a mile into the woods while they'd been wandering around, searching for the music camp, but they hadn't known what they meant. I've spent most of the night hiding care packages around the woods. Some contain food, some contain useful survival supplies, some are booby-trapped, but the important one contains weapons. Max reached into his big black bag and took out a pistol. This is a paint gun. He pointed it at the side of the barracks building and fired. The pistol made a pfft sound and a bright orange mark appeared on the wood. If you receive 3 shots to the torso, you are dead and out of the game. If you receive 6 shots to the arms and legs, you are dead. 2 extremity shots equal 1 torso shot. So if you receive 1 shot to the back and 4 shots to the leg, you are dead. Everybody clear. The boys all nodded. In a true survival situation, you would shoot your opponent in the head as much as possible. Unfortunately, these paint guns sting like freaking hell and can cause permanent damage, so headshots are strictly prohibited and will not count. Henry raised his hand. Do we get anything to protect our heads, sir? There might be a helmet in one of the care packages, said Max, right in there with a rattle and pacifier and diapers. So we don't get anything to protect our heads. No, don't put your face in front of one of the paintball shots and you'll be fine. Now guns are a useful weapon, but that's not all that's available. He took a large hunting knife out of the bag. Oh crap, thought Henry. Headshots are against the rules, but he's going to let us skin each other. Max walked over to the building and stabbed it a few times. The blade retracted into the handle and left orange paint marks onto the side. I made these myself. Stab wounds count for 50% more than gunshot wounds. So if you get stabbed twice in the torso, you are dead. If you get stabbed 4 times in extremities, you are dead. 1 stab to the chest and 2 stabs to the leg, and you're dead. Everybody clear. Everybody nodded, even though at least one of them was lying about being clear. One of the care packages contains a paint grenade. Use it wisely, and you can take out all of your opponents at once. Henry hoped to find the paint grenade. That would be sweet. These games can last for 10 minutes, or they can last for 4 days. It's all up to you. The longer you can survive, the more fun you'll have, and the more impressed I will be. Are there any final questions? Jackie raised his hand. Jackie, I will allow you to ask your question, but I'm going to warn you. If you question annoys me, you're going to take an automatic extremity shot. Jackie furrowed his brow as he considered that. I think I'm going to take the risk and ask it anyway, sir. Go ahead. How will anybody know if we stick to the boundaries? Hidden cameras. All over? All over enough. I would advise you not to go past the boundaries. Henry was pretty sure that Max was bluffing, but he had no reason to test that theory. Do I have to get a penalty shot? Asked Jackie. No, your question was surprisingly fine. Anybody else? Randy raised his hand. How will we know when people die? Do you have a cannon? Max shook his head. If we had the technology to digitally project the faces of the deceased onto the night sky, believe me, I'd be all over that. The process is that if you are killed, you will return to the spot, and I will announce your demise over a megaphone. Eric raised his hand. What if I kill somebody but they refuse to admit that they're dead? Can't they just wipe the paint off? Max bent down and pulled up his pant leg. There was a faded orange spot on his ankle. I got hit 3 years ago. It still hasn't come off all the way. Henry shifted uncomfortably. There are cameras, but do not tarnish the integrity of the honor system. If you are hit, accept it. Cheaters will have their lives ruined. I mean this. You may be thinking, oh, I'll never see Max again after survival camp ends. There's no way he could ruin my life. But you are wrong. There's one boy, Kirk Maynard, who buried his orange-spotted shirt and pretended to lose it. Every couple of months, I do something to wreck his life. He's 22 now, never got into college. His marriage fell apart after less than a year. He grows into a fetal position every night and cries himself to sleep, and I just laugh. Don't cheat. Henry's stomach was in knots, and he wished he could stop sweating. Insects love perspiration. He was going to have a really bad experience if there wasn't bug repellent in one of the care packages. Max pointed to a wooden box that rested on the ground. This is the first care package, he said, confirming what everybody pretty much figured out. In fact, Randy had been inching forward just a bit in anticipation of this announcement. Go for it if you want, or run. Either way, the game starts in 10, 9, 8. Henry could tell that Randy was going to make a run for the care package. Henry was pretty sure that he could outrun his friend, but he couldn't outrun Eric, and if he also went for it. But if he tackled Eric, then Randy might get the care package, and then he could share its contents. Unless Randy turned the paint gun on Henry and said, our alliance is over, dude, and shot him in the torso. He'd just run, lay low, let a couple of the others take each other out, hope to find a bow and arrow, and then hope that he was actually good with the bow and arrow, which he probably wasn't since he hadn't been aiming for the target that he hit that one time. But if he aimed for something else that besides the person he wanted to hit, his luck might repeat itself. 7, 6, 5. If he won the medal, he'd find Monica on Facebook, and she'd know that he wasn't not a tonal weenie. If he took out Eric in a dramatic manner, which he probably wouldn't, and there really were cameras, which there probably weren't, he'd ask Max if he could have the video, which he probably couldn't, and send it to her. 4, 3. Please don't let him be the first one to die. That would suck so very much. 2. Henry's heart was racing. It didn't matter that this was a stupid game that he'd probably been sufficiently play-tested. He was taking this seriously. He'd kill Randy last, but in the end, all of his opponents had to die. 1. He glanced at each side. All 4 of the boys were going to run for that box. Maybe they'd all take each other out in the first minute. He was cool with the idea of winning the games without much of his own participation. Go. Henry raced for the woods, didn't look back. He could hear a scuffle behind him, but that was fine. Let them fight it out. If he remembered correctly, this strategy had worked for the heroine in the Hunger Games, although she did have basic confidence on her side. He ran into the woods. No branches hit him, so he's off to a good start. He just run and run until he tripped. He pitched forward, threw out his arms to break his fall, and slammed onto the ground. What a wonderful start. At least no parts of his face seemed to be broken. The old Henry would have lain there for a while, groaning in pain, but the new Henry got right back up and continued running. It was a wobblier run than before. Still, he kept running. He ran and ran, now avoiding both branches and the act of tripping. He was doing great. He was going to win this thing. Oh, yeah. He ran until he could run no more, which wasn't all that far, but he was proud for pushing himself to that limit. He leaned against a tree and tried to catch his breath. As he did so, he looked around for a care package. Nothing. Could one be buried? Max hadn't said anything about them being buried, and he probably didn't want them going around digging up the whole forest. Still, it was something Henry should have asked about when he had the chance. Wow, his legs were really burning. He wondered if Max was watching him on a hidden camera right now, clucking his tongue with disapproval. Bite me, Max, he thought. You're going to be putting that metal around my neck. Behind him, he suddenly heard a rustling. Not just a rustling, footsteps. Not just footsteps, fast footsteps, somebody running. He looked back and saw Eric, a good distance away, but running right at him. You're dead, Henry, Eric shouted. Henry hoped that he wasn't seeing this correctly, but yes, Eric had a gun. Wilderness survival tip. Remember that one tip about wearing that suit of armor? Total lie. Insects can get through the visor. Easily.